Discover 7 life lessons that took me 10 years to learn. Night's Secret to REWIRE Your Mind. Stoic Breath, a powerful guide to transforming your nights into a foundation for clearer, stronger mornings. Learn how ancient Stoic practices can help you release stress, build mental clarity, and reshape your habits from within. These simple nightly rituals can quietly rewire your mindset, boost emotional resilience, and help you become the person you truly want to be. Subscribe to Stoic Breath for more deep, practical wisdom to improve your life every day. This is Stoicism Breath, and if you're here right now, it's not by accident. This message isn't for the person who woke up energized at 5 a.m., already disciplined, already ahead. It's for the one who feels heavy, the one who's tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. The kind of tired that comes from carrying too much for too long without ever putting it down. The one who lies awake at night replaying conversations, questioning patterns, wondering why change never seems to stick no matter how hard you try. The one who promises, tomorrow will be different, but wakes up already exhausted by yesterday. If that feels familiar, stay here. This was made for you. Because here's the truth most people skip. Real change doesn't happen in a burst of motivation. It takes time, years, sometimes a decade, of real mornings, difficult mornings. The kind where getting out of bed requires something deeper than willpower. And somewhere in that long process, one realization changes everything. The morning was never the problem. It was the night. What you do, or don't do, in those final hours before sleep quietly shapes everything that comes after. Most people think their day starts when the alarm goes off. But the Stoics understood something deeper. Your morning begins the night before. How you close one day determines how you open the next. Night is not just rest. It is preparation. It is where your mind resets, reorganizes, and rebuilds itself, silently, in the dark. And yet, most people give that moment away to endless scrolling, to distractions they don't even care about. But imagine this instead. What if those final minutes before sleep became intentional? What if that quiet moment became the place where you start becoming someone stronger, clearer, more grounded? That's exactly what the Stoics practiced, not as theory, but as survival. These were not comfortable men giving advice from easy lives. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while facing loss after loss. Seneca lived under constant threat and exile. Epictetus was once a slave. They needed mental clarity just to endure, and that's why their methods still work today. So here's where it begins. Before you try to change your mornings, change how you end your nights. Lesson 1. The Night Audit. Seneca described it simply. Review your day with complete honesty. No hiding. No excuses. No pretending. And if you think about it, most people do the exact opposite. They don't reflect, they escape. The TV turns on, the phone comes out, the scrolling begins, not because it matters, but because sitting with your own thoughts feels uncomfortable. But that escape comes at a cost. Everything you avoid at night doesn't disappear. It stays. It lingers beneath the surface of your mind. The sharp comment you regret, the moment you lost control, the conversation that didn't go the way you hoped, all of it carries into the next morning, adding weight you were never meant to carry. And that's why you wake up tired, even after resting. Now imagine something different. Before you sleep, you take just 5 minutes. No judgment. Just awareness. Ask yourself, where did I fall short today? Where did I show up well? And what does tomorrow deserve from me that today didn't give? That's it. Simple, but powerful. Because when your mind processes the day honestly, it doesn't need to keep working through it while you sleep. It lets go. And when you wake up, you don't carry yesterday with you. You wake up clear. Not motivated, not hyped, but grounded. And that kind of clarity is something most people never experience. So tonight, don't escape your day. Face it. Understand it. Close it. Because the strongest mornings don't come from perfect routines. They come from honest nights. This is Stoicism Breath. Think about this for a moment. That conversation that didn't end well, the one that keeps replaying in your head. That small moment where you know you didn't show up as your best self, even if no one else noticed. Those quiet regrets, those subtle disappointments, they don't disappear just because the day ends. They stay. They sit there, unprocessed, like something heavy in your chest. And then morning comes. But instead of feeling fresh, you wake up carrying all of it. The weight is still there, quietly sitting underneath everything, making the first hour of your day feel heavier than it should ever be. The Stoics refuse to live like that. Every single night, they face their day. Not harshly. Not with guilt or self-punishment. But with calm honesty. Almost like a coach reviewing a game, clear, objective, focused on truth, not perfection. And they use just 3 simple questions. Where did I fall short today? Where did I do well? And what does tomorrow deserve from me that today did not give? That's it. Simple, but powerful enough to change everything. Because when your mind is given the space to process the day honestly, something incredible happens. It closes the day. Completely. Emotionally. Cleanly. And when that happens, your mind doesn't need to keep working through it while you sleep. It's already done. And when you wake up the next morning, you don't wake up carrying yesterday. You wake up with clarity. Not the artificial kind that comes from caffeine or hype. Real clarity. The kind that comes from facing yourself honestly and finally being at peace with what happened. Marcus Aurelius did this every night. Not publicly. Not for applause. Just for himself. And when you read his writings, what stands out isn't perfection, it's honesty. He admitted when he failed. He acknowledged where he needed to improve. And then he let it go. No drama. No ego. No pretending. Just truth in the quiet. So tonight, before you sleep, take 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what did today really teach me? Where did I fall short of who I'm trying to become? And what is one thing tomorrow deserves that I didn't give today? 5 minutes. And on the other side of those 5 minutes, a completely different morning is waiting. Now let's go deeper. Because there's another layer most people never see. Who is actually in control of your day? Most people would say, I am. But watch what really happens in the morning. The alarm goes off, and before your mind even fully wakes up, your hand reaches for your phone. Notifications flood in. messages, news, other people's problems, other people's urgency. And before your first clear thought even forms, your day is already being shaped by everything outside of it. By 8 a.m., most people aren't living their life. They're reacting to someone else. But the Stoics saw this clearly, and they refused to let it happen. Marcus Aurelius couldn't wait until morning to decide who he would be. He decided the night before. Before sleep, he would sit in that quiet space and ask himself, who do I need to be tomorrow? Not what do I need to do? Who do I need to be? Patient when people are difficult. Calm when things don't go as planned. Curious instead of judgmental. Because he knew something most people miss. The strength you show in the morning is not created in the moment. It is prepared the night before. And there's a powerful difference between waking up and reacting to the day, and waking up already knowing who you are inside of it. One feels like being pushed around by circumstances. The other feels like standing on solid ground. So tonight, before you close your eyes, ask yourself one simple question. Who does tomorrow need me to be? Not perfect. Not flawless. Just intentional. Because when your mind falls asleep with that answer, it wakes up already aligned with it. And that kind of person is very hard to shake. This is Stoicism Breath. Here's something most people never realize, even when they read Stoic philosophy again and again. The strength you admire in people like Marcus Aurelius, it wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't something that magically appeared in the morning when life got difficult. It was built, quietly, intentionally, the night before. In the stillness, when no one was watching, he prepared himself. So when chaos arrived, and it always does, he wasn't reacting blindly. He was stepping into a day that had already been mentally settled. And there's a powerful difference here that you can actually feel. One way of waking up feels like being hit by a storm before you even stand up. Notifications, pressure, problems, everything pulls you in different directions before you've even had a moment to breathe. The other way? It feels like standing on solid ground. Calm, clear, unshaken. Same world, same problems, but a completely different internal state. So tonight, before you close your eyes, ask yourself something deeper than a to-do list. Not, what do I need to get done tomorrow? Ask instead, who does tomorrow need me to be? Do you need to be more patient when things don't go your way? More honest, even when it feels uncomfortable? Kinder, especially towards someone who tests you? Or maybe braver, about something you've been quietly avoiding for far too long? Name it. Say it out loud, or write it down. Let that be the final thought you carry into sleep. Because when your mind rests with clarity about who you are, it wakes up already aligned with that identity. And a person who starts their day grounded in who they are is not easily shaken by what happens around them. Now let's go even deeper. There's another habit that silently drains your energy, and most people don't even realize they're doing it. carrying yesterday into today. There's a kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with sleep. You can get 8 hours, wake up, and still feel heavy. Not because your body is tired, but because your mind never put anything down. Think about it. An argument from days ago still replaying in your head. An embarrassing moment from weeks ago that won't let go. A worry about something that hasn't even happened yet, showing up at 3 a.m. like it's urgent and real. And somehow, it all feels important, like holding on to it is protecting you. But it's not. It's exhausting you. The Stoics understood something simple but difficult. Holding on to what you cannot change doesn't fix it. It only guarantees you'll carry it into tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, until it becomes so familiar that you forget it was ever optional. But it is optional. Epictetus taught a practice that sounds simple, but changes everything when you actually do it. At the end of the day, don't analyze everything. Don't try to solve everything. Just sort it. Look at what's on your mind and ask one honest question. Is this mine to carry right now? Some things are. A mistake you made? A conversation that needs to be repaired. A responsibility you've been avoiding. Those things matter. But even then, you don't need to carry them into your sleep. You can set them down, with the intention to face them tomorrow, when your mind is clear and rested. And then, there are things that were never yours at all. Someone else's bad mood. News you can't change. A future you're trying to control through worry. Those things don't belong in your night. They don't belong in your rest. And when you finally let them go, something shifts. The next morning feels different. Not lighter because life got easier, but because you stopped carrying what was never meant to be yours. There's space in your mind. Real space. Space to think clearly, to feel the present moment, to actually begin the day fresh instead of already behind. So tonight, try this. Take everything that's on your mind and ask, can I do anything about this right now? If yes, write it down and set it aside. If no, release it. Not because it doesn't matter, but because carrying it tonight won't make it better tomorrow. Because the truth is simple. The morning belongs to those who stopped fighting yesterday. Before they go to sleep. This is Stoicism Breath. Grief belongs to what has already been lost. Worry belongs to what may or may not come. But the morning, the real morning, the one filled with possibility, belongs only to what is right here, right now. And yet, most people never truly experience that kind of morning. Why? Because they bring yesterday with them. They wake up already carrying conversations that ended days ago, mistakes that can no longer be undone, worries that haven't even happened yet. And all of it presses in at once, quietly stealing the clarity that the morning was meant to offer. But here's the shift. If you want to give your morning what it deserves, you have to stop surrendering it to yesterday. So tonight, before you sleep, take a moment and face what's weighing on you. Not with fear, not with overwhelm, but with honesty. Ask yourself one simple question for each thought that's still lingering. Is there anything I can actually do about this right now? If the answer is yes, write it down. Make it clear. Then consciously set it aside. And if the answer is no, let it go. Not because it's unimportant, but because your tired mind at midnight is not the version of you that can handle it best. A rested, clear mind tomorrow will always be stronger, calmer, and more capable. This is the quiet truth most people miss. The morning belongs to those who chose not to spend the night fighting battles that were already over. And if you've been carrying too much for too long, maybe tonight is the moment you decide. I carry only what is mine. Now let's move into something even more powerful, something that changes not just how you end your day, but how you begin the next one. Because most people believe a strong morning starts with discipline. It doesn't. It starts the night before. Think about it honestly. How many times have you promised yourself, tomorrow will be different? You set the alarm. You prepare the journal. You feel motivated, clear, ready. And then morning comes. The bed feels warmer than expected. The phone is right there. And suddenly, the version of you who made those promises starts negotiating with the version of you who just wants comfort. And just like that, the plan disappears. Not because you're weak. Not because you lack discipline. But because you tried to build a strong morning inside the morning itself. And that's where most people fail. Because those first minutes after waking up, they are fragile. Your mind is not fully grounded yet. Your willpower is not at its strongest. You are closer to sleep than clarity. The Stoics understood this deeply. So they never left the morning to chance. Before sleep, they prepared. Not with anxiety. Not by overthinking everything that could go wrong. But with calm, intentional awareness. They would mentally walk through the next morning. They would picture the alarm going off, the first movement, the first decision. They would feel, in advance, where resistance would show up, because it always does. And then, in the quiet of the night, they would decide how to respond. This is what's known as premeditation, not fear, but preparation. And there's something powerful about this process. When your mind has already experienced something, even briefly, even in imagination, it no longer feels unfamiliar. It feels known. And that small sense of familiarity is often enough to carry you through the resistance that usually stops you. That's why Marcus Aurelius could wake up before dawn, day after day, even while carrying the weight of an empire, war, loss, and uncertainty. Not because he had superhuman discipline, but because he had already decided the night before. So tonight, try something simple but powerful. Don't plan your entire day. Just focus on your morning. Picture it clearly. See the moment the alarm goes off. See yourself sitting up. See the exact moment when your mind says, just 5 more minutes. And instead of fighting that moment in the morning, choose your response now. In the quiet, in clarity, in control. Because the morning you rehearse at night is the morning you are most likely to live when the sun rises. This is Stoicism Breath. Tonight, before you sleep, there's something powerful you can do. Something simple, almost quiet, but deeply transformative. Instead of waiting for the morning to fix your mindset, choose right now, in the stillness, how you're going to meet tomorrow. Because here's the truth most people overlook. The morning you imagine at night is often the morning you actually live. So pause for a moment. See it clearly. Feel it. Let your mind walk through it once, calmly, intentionally. Not perfectly, just honestly. Because when you've already faced tomorrow in your mind, you don't wake up unprepared. You wake up grounded. And in that quiet awareness, remind yourself of something important. You are not alone in the dark. Now let's talk about something even deeper, something that most people try, but few truly understand. Gratitude. You've probably heard it before. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. And maybe you've tried it. Maybe you've sat there in the morning, writing the right words, saying the right things. But inside, nothing really moves. It feels like checking a box, like filling out a form. And that gap, the gap between knowing you should feel grateful and actually feeling it, that gap can be discouraging. But here's what the Stoics understood that most people miss. Gratitude doesn't start in the morning. It starts the night before. You can't rush it. You can't force it. And you definitely can't manufacture it in a busy, distracted morning when your mind is already being pulled in a dozen directions. Gratitude has to be planted. And the place to plant it is in the quiet moments before sleep. Instead of thinking in general terms, I'm grateful for my life, my health, my family, the Stoics focused on something much more real and much more powerful. They looked at specific moments. A conversation that went better than expected. A small act of kindness from someone you didn't anticipate. A problem that felt overwhelming in the morning, but somehow became manageable by the evening. Or even just a quiet moment, just a few minutes, where things felt okay. Not perfect. Not extraordinary. Just good. And they didn't just think about these moments. They paused. They let themselves feel them. Because there is a profound difference between thinking about something good and actually allowing yourself to feel it. And when you do that, when you sit with it, even for just a minute, you begin to rewire something deep inside you. Over time, something changes. You wake up differently. Not overly positive. Not pretending everything is easy. But less guarded. Less defensive. More open. More grounded. More ready to meet the day, not as a threat, but as something you can move through with clarity. So tonight, try this. Find just one thing from your day that was genuinely good. Not big. Not dramatic. Just real. Hold it in your mind for 1 full minute. No distractions. No rushing. Let it land somewhere deeper than your thoughts. That's it. Simple, but powerful in a way that builds over time. And when you're ready, close the chapter. Today is done. Tomorrow is mine. Now let's go one layer deeper, into something most people avoid entirely. Courage. Not the loud, dramatic kind, but the quiet kind, the kind that shows up in the things you keep putting off. We all have them. That conversation you've been avoiding for weeks, maybe months, because you know it's going to be uncomfortable. That decision you keep delaying, because making it means change, and change brings uncertainty. That one thing that shows up in your mind every morning for a split second before you push it away and tell yourself, "Not today." But here's what avoidance actually does. It doesn't protect you. It compounds. What you avoid today becomes heavier tomorrow. What you postpone this week becomes harder next week. And slowly, without realizing it, your mornings begin to carry a quiet weight before the day has even started. The Stoics had a way of breaking this cycle. Before sleep, they would name the hard thing. Clearly, honestly, without exaggeration. Not to create fear, but to reduce it. Because something strange happens when you do this. The thing you've been avoiding shrinks. Not completely, but enough. Because most of the fear you feel isn't coming from the thing itself. It's coming from the shadow your mind has created around it. And when you finally look at it directly, it becomes manageable. So tonight, name it. Say it out loud or write it down. What is the one thing tomorrow is asking you to face? And then ask yourself a better question. Not, how do I avoid this? But, who do I choose to be when I face this? Because real courage isn't built in the moment of action. It's built right here, in the quiet, before anyone is watching, before the world begins. This is where you decide who you are. This is Stoicism Breath. There's a reason the right moment never seems to arrive. That conversation you keep postponing, that decision you keep delaying, that uncomfortable truth you keep pushing aside, it never feels like today is the day. There's always something else. A better time. A clearer moment. A version of you that feels more ready. But here's what quietly happens in the background. Avoidance doesn't protect you. It compounds. What you avoid today doesn't disappear, it grows. The conversation you delay this week becomes heavier next week. The decision you avoid this month becomes more complex next month. And slowly, almost invisibly, your mornings begin to change. You wake up already carrying something unfinished. Something unresolved. Something quietly sitting in the room with you before your day has even begun. And that weight? It makes everything harder. Harder to focus. Harder to feel clear. Harder to move forward with confidence. The Stoics understood this pattern deeply, and they refused to let it take root. So they created a practice, a simple one, but incredibly powerful. Before sleep, they would name the hard thing waiting for them tomorrow. Not to make it scarier, but to make it smaller. Because when something stays unnamed, it becomes a shadow. And shadows, are always larger than reality. But the moment you name it, clearly, honestly, directly, it begins to shrink. Not completely, but enough. Enough for you to face it. Enough for you to move toward it instead of away from it. Think about it. How many times has something felt overwhelming in your mind, until the moment you actually faced it and realized it wasn't as impossible as it seemed? That's the power of clarity. And this is exactly what the Stoics practiced. Marcus Aurelius, a man carrying the weight of an empire, would prepare himself for difficulty before it arrived. He knew there would be friction, difficult people, unfair moments, hard choices. But instead of hoping for an easy day, he prepared for a real one. And because of that, he was never caught off guard. He had already met those moments, in the quiet of the night, before they ever appeared in reality. That's what courage actually is. Not the absence of fear. Not pretending something isn't hard. But deciding, before the moment arrives, who you will be when it does. So tonight, do something different. Name the one thing you've been avoiding. Say it out loud. Write it down. Look at it, not as a shadow, but as it really is. And then ask yourself one honest question. When this moment comes, who do I choose to be? Not perfect. Just honest. Just steady. Just courageous enough. Because that one question, asked sincerely tonight, will change the way you walk into tomorrow morning. And now, we come to the final layer. The one that holds everything together. Because all of these practices, the reflection, the preparation, the release, the gratitude, the courage, they all lead to one simple, powerful question. A question that is easy to skip, but impossible to replace. Before you sleep, ask yourself, am I becoming the person I want to be? Not, did I do enough today? Not, was I productive enough? Not, did I prove myself to others? Those questions never end. The standard always moves. The finish line always shifts. But this question is different. It's not about performance. It's about direction. Think of a river. A river doesn't stop and ask, am I there yet? It just keeps moving. Around obstacles. Through resistance. Sometimes fast. Sometimes slow. But always forward. And because it keeps moving in the right direction, it eventually arrives. That's how becoming works. Not in perfect days. Not in flawless routines. But in direction. Chosen and chosen again, every single night. The Stoics understood this better than most. They didn't chase perfection. They committed to movement. So tonight, ask yourself that question. Honestly, without judgment, without pressure. If the answer is yes, even a little, let that be enough. Rest in it. And if the answer is no, Don't spiral. Don't overthink. Just choose one small thing, one real moment, where tomorrow can move in a better direction. Because that's all it takes. Not a perfect system. Not a complete transformation overnight. Just a direction, chosen again. And again. And again. That is how a life changes. Quietly. Consistently. Powerfully. One night at a time. This is Stoicism Breath. Becoming who you are meant to be is not a destination you reach one day and then finally rest. It's a direction. A direction you choose, and then choose again, every single night. Because here's what most people don't realize. The question you ask yourself before sleep quietly shapes the person you wake up as. When the last honest thought in your mind is about who you are becoming, when you can look at your day and say, I move forward, even if imperfectly, something powerful begins to happen. You don't wake up chasing motivation. You wake up carrying identity. Not an identity built on yesterday's performance. Not on how productive you were. Not on whether you impressed anyone. But an identity rooted in direction. And that changes everything. Because when you know, even quietly, that you are moving in the right direction, your mornings feel different. Not easier, but steadier. Not perfect, but grounded. It's not your circumstances that change overnight. It's you. Slowly, consistently, night after night. So tonight, before you close your eyes, ask yourself honestly, am I becoming the person I want to be? And if the answer is yes, even in a small, imperfect way, let that be enough. Let that feeling settle in your chest. Let yourself rest, not with pressure, but with a quiet sense of progress. But if the answer is no, and sometimes it will be, don't panic. Don't replay every mistake. Don't tear yourself apart trying to fix everything at once. Just make one decision. One small, real, specific decision about tomorrow. Maybe it's one conversation you'll finally have. One action you'll take. One moment where you'll choose differently. That's it. Because real change doesn't come from perfect systems or flawless routines. It comes from a single honest question, asked consistently and answered with action. Night after night. That's the rewiring. Not dramatic. Not instant. But permanent. And here's the truth most people don't talk about. This work never really ends. There's no finish line where you suddenly become perfect and everything becomes easy. There's only a series of choices. Small, quiet, often difficult. The choice to reflect instead of escape. The choice to prepare instead of react. The choice to let go instead of carry unnecessary weight. The choice to feel gratitude instead of perform it. The choice to face what you've been avoiding. And the choice to ask yourself if you're moving in the right direction. 7 choices. Every night. Not perfectly. No one does this perfectly. And anyone who claims they do isn't being honest about what growth actually looks like. Because growth doesn't happen in one night. It happens across many nights. The way water shapes stone. Slowly, quietly, consistently. Until one day, you look back and realize you become someone different. Even Marcus Aurelius never finished this work. His writings, the ones we now call meditations, don't end with answers. They end with questions. Because even at the end of his life, he was still reflecting, still adjusting, still choosing to try again the next day. And that's what makes his story powerful. Not perfection, but persistence. So tonight, and tomorrow night, and the night after that, keep asking the question. Keep making the choices. Because the strongest version of your morning is waiting on the other side of one honest night. And if something in this message reached you, something real, something deeper than just words, then carry it forward. Share it with someone who needs it. Because there is someone in your life right now, tired, overwhelmed, searching for clarity, who doesn't yet realize that a better morning doesn't start with a routine. It starts the night before. This is what we build here at Stoicism Breath. Not perfection, but real growth. Sleep well tonight. Because whether you realize it or not, the morning is already being built. And before you go, leave this with yourself. Every night I grow. Every morning I rise.